Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at the GravGrip iPhone and action camera stabilizer. I just received it a couple weeks ago, and now I'm going to see how well it works in different conditions, either standing still, running, and just using in everyday use. Sorry for the barking that you're going to hear throughout this video. I'm walking with my dog, and she gets a little impatient. Stay tuned. So as mentioned, we're going to be looking at the GravGrip iPhone and action camera stabilizer. This is what it actually looks like when it's not being used with anything. You can see on the top, those are counterweights, and then on the bottom here we have an iPhone holder. When you're using a lighter camera, it tends to work like this, so that the camera is up here, and then the counterweights, which you can place them however you want to put them, so that they balance everything when you're using it. So today I'm only going to be testing out how the stabilization works when used with an iPhone 12 Pro Max. I want to see how that works because it's such a big phone. I was assured by the company when I emailed them that it would work. So let's have a look at how the phone looks on the stabilizer with the selfie stick, and then we'll do some tests. So this is how the whole setup looks like when it's on the GravGrip. This is my 12 Pro Max on here with some artwork by my daughter. And then you can see that when I'm moving it, it counterbalances to go straight as you're moving. And then with the selfie stick, it's actually quite easy to maneuver and very easy to use. Obviously, there's no batteries or anything in this thing. At first glance, it looks like it'll be doing the right thing. It's set up right now to be used in selfie mode, so that if I'm filming. So now you've seen how I'm going to be using this, I'm going to go outside. So before I go outside to show you how things work with the stabilizer, I wanted to mention as well that the iPhone itself has a lot of stabilization built in already. The makers of the GravGrip actually admit that it relies heavily on that stabilization. So if you look at this clip that I took handheld only, you can see that while you're panning or standing still or just taking individual video clips of anything, the stabilization is actually quite good. I'm doing nothing special here. I didn't add any stabilization after the fact. And you can see that everything is nice and very clean and smooth. So now that you've seen what is actually coming from the iPhone itself, let's take a look at what happens when you walk and run with the stabilizer, or the GravGrip stabilizer. So in our first test here along the Rideau Canal in Ottawa, I'm going to be testing out the just having a selfie stick with a regular phone holder. So I'm just standing right now, and obviously it's very stable and I can pan around quite easily so that you can see exactly everything that I'm doing, nice and smooth. But even when I walk nice and carefully, it's still nice and smooth. There's built-in stabilization in this phone, so you get a good effect from that. I've already done all this before, so I know that the only time you really see a difference is when you're running, or at least so I think. So now that I've done that, I've done this little part, and now I'm going to move on to running. So I'm going to hold this, otherwise I'll ruin my audio. So if I'm running and not trying really hard to keep things stable, but a little bit, you can look at the edges of the image, and you'll see that there's a little bit of warbling on the sides, but also the rotation of the phone itself. That's not bad. So I'm going to run back, and so I'm going to run a little bit faster. Go back to where I was. That's my dog. Very playful today. And then I'll switch over to the GravGrip. Okay, now the second video, now I have the iPhone 12 Pro Max set up on my GravGrip, and I'm going to do the same things as before. I'm just standing, obviously, nothing is going to be very shaky. And then if I pan around, it's also not shaky, but if I walk, a little bit like this. Should be a little bit of shake, but nothing really noticeable. And then I'm going to do my running test now. So prepare and hold this again and run. So running. So check again on the edges. I'm not trying super hard to keep it stable. A little bit. Again, I have my dog. It's -10. She's a bit frisky today. There you go. So that's the difference with the GravGrip. Now I'm going to run back faster. Like before. Here comes the dog again. And that should about do it. See how that goes. Alright, what you should see the most of here is rotational distortion. So that's not bad. That's good. How much did that go? I'm going to go back. So running down, we'll see if there's any rotational difference on this. Got my dog again. Let's see how that looks when we compare the two. So there you have it. Those are my tests using the GravGrip Stabilizer. Now let's go over some of the pros and cons of this device. What I've found by using this for the last few days is that, one, it's very inexpensive. Compared to the DJI OM4, it's about 1/5 of the cost. Of course, the DJI OM4 has stabilization in 3 different axes as opposed to the 1 axis of this stabilizer, but the cost is quite a bit lower. It also takes no batteries, which is great because no matter where you go, you never have to think about carrying batteries. And it also makes it a lot lighter and you don't have to worry about any kind of rain. It's also very easy to pack because it's so small. You can just take your selfie stick off of it and it fits into any bag very easily. Now the cons of this device are a little bit more substantial. It's only single axis. It only stops the phone from rotating, or your action camera from rotating from side to side. It doesn't have anything or any effect on the pitch or bouncing up and down. The OM4, on the other hand, has 3 axes of stabilization, which makes it a lot smoother, which is important if you're walking quite heavily or running. The good thing about most of the time when you're filming with an iPhone is I don't think you'll be running or walking really heavily very often. So it still works quite well for that. And really, the only thing that I found, the only stabilization that I found that made any difference was when I was running hard. And even then, you had to really look for it. There were still times when it'd still swing quite a bit. But overall, when you're using the wide-angle lens, the difference between even while running and when you're running with it and running without it, you can't really tell that much, but it does have a slight dampening effect that I don't know if it's worthwhile or not. I'd be very curious to hear from other people who were part of this Kickstarter campaign. I know there were a lot of problems with deliveries, and for myself, once mine had finally been shipped, it took almost 6 weeks to get it. A big part of it being that it was shipped from California and I'm in Canada, and it spent a good 2 weeks just at the border waiting to be shipped. Of course, it was over Christmas and COVID combined, but it would have been a lot smarter to use something that had some expedited shipping over any borders. I know a lot of people have been complaining online about the same thing. So that does it for me today. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Hit the subscribe button and the like button if you actually enjoyed this at all. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.